welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today we have some guests from Langley Air Force Base who are going to invite you out to the base, which is a rare and wonderful treat. My guests are Colonel Caroline Miller. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. And Lieutenant Colonel Dave Norton. Welcome.
Thank you.
So you're really going to let us on base. It's been a long time.
Yes, ma'am. We have not hosted an air show in 5 years at Langley with sequestration and everything, but now we have finally got the ability to do it, and so we are so excited about having everybody come out. It's a 3-day show, starts on Friday, the 22nd of April, and the 23rd and 24th, and so we are excited about sharing all of the capabilities at Langley with our community partners, because the community is always giving back to Langley, and so this is our opportunity to, welcome you back onto the base, if you will, and then just see some of the phenomenal capability of all the services, quite frankly. We have acts coming from the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, so we're really excited about it.
Well, air shows used to be, not really routine, but almost every year you could count on it, and then I think, 9/11 insecurity and sequestration and budget cuts, it just changed the landscape.
Yeah,
it's a huge undertaking for you guys now.
It is, but but I think it's worth doing. There is a lot of work, and actually Colonel Norton here is the lead for all of this, so he can go into specifics on all of the planning that we're doing. But it's really a good thing to do, because we're partners right here in Hampton Roads, and because of 9/11, we've really had to put the security in the base. But now we're going to open up our gates for everybody. And starting on Friday night, we're going to have a great show, starting with a concert with Craig Moran, a country singer. It's great. And then that night will be phenomenal. So following the concert, we're going to have some night shows with pyrotechnics, lighting, just really, really good kind of fun stuff. And then the rest of the week, Saturday and Sunday, it'll be full days. The gates open at 9 o'clock, Saturday and Sunday both, and it's a full day of nonstop activities. We've got static airplanes, and then we've also got the Thunderbirds, we've got the Golden Knights, we've got the F-22, so we are super excited.
Oh my gosh, that sounds really fun. I will tell you, it's a personal story. I'm probably not supposed to lapse into this, but when I was a Cub Scout leader, I took my Cub Scouts out to an air show, and we tromped around all day. And I think actually we got in on one of the previews because the co-leader worked on base, but they thought it was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Even just looking at the static planes, walking around, learning, absorbing, it's also a way of letting kids understand and appreciate the military and what you all do, and also be a little wowed by the coolness factor. It's pretty awesome.
It is, and I think that's great to have kids up there too. There's so few people now that go into the military, less than 2% really of the entire population. So this is, not a recruiting tool, but in some ways
it is, right.
And you'll have kids that go, man, I went to the air show and I wanted to be a pilot, or I wanted to be, whatever. And so,
yeah. And where you'll have at least other people who understand and appreciate a little bit more about what you all do, because sometimes, there's that divide, and your military people around Hampton and Hampton Roads know and understand,
right,
whether they're with another service or whether they're with the Air Force. But there are a lot of people who don't have that connection.
You're exactly right.
It means a lot to the citizenry as well as to you guys.
Yeah, and we're really hoping that we have everybody come out, like I said, opening the gates, and I'll turn it over to Dave just to talk about some of the logistics about it, so we can talk about how we can get people on base and that type of stuff.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks. And so also to your point of sharing a personal story, I grew up in Wisconsin, and for those from that area or familiar with the air show industry, Oshkosh, Wisconsin hosts a huge air show every year, and going to that as a child was really kind of what began to spark my interest in aviation, and eventually led me to the Air Force. So I suspect there will be some young kids at our air show that may start on the same path. But yeah, about our air show in particular, planning's been underway for well over a year already. It is a significant undertaking, as we've already spoken about, but we have a large team of folks that are contributing to the planning, to include our partners here in the Hampton community, which are a very solid part of our team. Our neighbors next door at NASA are also contributing, and they of course will enter into a celebration of their centennial of their organization there right after ours, very shortly.
Right.
So they're all a very integral part of the planning effort. The Hampton Police Department also is a very significant contributor to making sure that one of our primary focuses is that everybody is safe and secure, and they play a very key role in that as well. So we're looking forward to a very safe and successful show, and as Colonel Miller mentioned, it's a great lineup. It's going to be a good time.
Okay, so let's start with Friday night. What time do things kick off, and how do we get on base, which gate, all that stuff?
Absolutely. So the gates will open to the general public at 1700, 5 p.m. on Friday. LaSalle and our Armistead gates will be the primary methods of entry. With a focus, we'll adjust our traffic patterns to accommodate the incoming traffic and try to streamline that as much as possible. This is a little bit of a departure from normal routine, of course, hosting an air show, so we'll make some adjustments to accommodate that with our traffic, and plenty of folks out there, our security policemen and others, that will augment their expertise on making sure that everybody knows where to go and can safely park and get into the show. So 1700, 5 p.m. the gates will open, and very shortly after that we'll begin with some of the aerial performances, the concert, as Colonel Miller mentioned, and concluding with a fireworks show. It's free admission, free parking. LangleyAirShow.com is a great place for everybody to frequently reference, which contains a lot of information regarding the access to the installation, the things that you can bring in, et cetera.
Right, because if people pay attention to that, they can get on pretty smoothly.
Yeah,
and if
absolutely.
they don't, it's not just going to back up them, it's going to back up the people behind them. So let's really encourage people to read ahead, plan ahead, know what to bring.
And then also on that website, we'll give you a list of things that you can bring on base. You know, cameras, you can bring cameras and everything, just not big camera bags, not big, huge bags, no coolers, but you can bring water and snacks and everything, although there'll be
vendors.
There'll be
won't
lots
there?
of vendors, and so there's definitely food, water available out there. But people can bring in small bags. We're just looking, for security purposes. Really,
Right.
just not the big rolling coolers and all of that kind of stuff that you would bring to maybe an outdoor concert. Also, as far as the ease of getting on and off base, we are the Hampton. We also can park at the Coliseum. And so that's overflow parking, if you will, because we expect on Saturday and Sunday, especially if we have good weather,
Yes.
and we're hoping for good weather, that we'll need some additional parking. So they have been gracious enough to allow us to use their parking lot, and then we'll have shuttle buses that run to and from.
That sounds really easy. I like that. That's a great idea, because there is that midday period where, a lot of people with young kids come in the morning and stay, to the middle of the
Right.
day, and then other people come around noon, and you've got a big mass of folks between, noon
You're
and
exactly
2.
right.
Oh, that's a great idea. Okay, what other tips for getting on base?
So
Bring IDs.
Absolutely, government-issued ID for adults is something that we would like everybody to have, of course. There will be a security checkpoint, as you would probably expect.
There has to be.
Bag searches and electronic magnometer, kind of airport-style security, which I think will help people feel a little bit more secure about being there. So we will go through that process. But as Colonel Miller mentioned, aside from large bags and coolers and things, you can bring in lawn chairs, you can bring in strollers, a small wagon for children is okay. Hand-carried food items and drinks are okay as well. Cameras, photography is really not limited, but no large camera bags, et cetera, as Colonel Miller mentioned.
So that should be a ton of fun. Okay,
Absolutely.
So we've talked about what happens Friday night. What happens Saturday and Sunday?
So Saturday and Sunday, the gates will open at 9 in the morning, both days, and we expect the show to continue till about 5 p.m. each day, so no nighttime activities on Saturday and Sunday. That's only Friday. The show will conclude each day, Saturday and Sunday, with the Thunderbirds performance, which we expect to begin at about 3:30 in the afternoon.
It's so cool, too, by the way. That's just, really exciting. Okay.
It is, and so we're excited to have the Thunderbirds. They're obviously in high demand across, and so we were so fortunate for them to agree to our invitation to come to our air show. So that'll be really good. The other thing for families and everything, sometimes if you have little ones or little kids, they might not be as enamored with looking at every plane, but we will have a kids area, bouncy houses and type stuff like that. So we'll have that available for parents to entertain some children, their kids if they want to do that in the interim in between acts. And so we've got that. We talked about the vending and the food and everything. And so it should be available. If it's hot, super hot day, we'll have water available for everybody. So
yeah, that's important to stay hydrated. And you're in the sun. I mean, there's places of shade and shade where the airplanes, cast.
Yeah, but we're going to be on the flight line, so it will be high open.
Yeah.
In addition, not only do we have the Thunderbirds, but the F-22, which is lives right here on Langley, and so they just do a phenomenal. I'm not sure if you've seen their demo, but it is.
I mean, occasionally you see them, but you don't. I've never seen a demo. That should be.
Yeah, I mean, as a fifth-gen aircraft, it is so phenomenal, and it's just what it can do and how it can take off and hover. I mean, it's pretty amazing, and so that will also be part of the day. So I mean, not a want for really cool acts.
Right. Okay. So let's run through the acts. I know you've mentioned most of them, but you said that it was actually easy to line up people for this air show. That Langley is so well known.
Absolutely. So the headliner acts, as we talked about, of course, the Thunderbirds and the Army's Golden Knights parachute demonstration team will be there. Our own F-22 demonstration will take place, as well as United States Navy F-18 Hornet demonstration from nearby here at Oceana will participate as well.
Wow, you've got every branch represented.
Absolutely, and as I say, those are just the headliners, and there's a whole host of other performances that are lined up to include civilian performances to provide some variety and just contribute to the overall enthusiasm for the air show.
Well, and I'm going to just say that civilian performance sort of ties back to the history of Langley and being involved in basically all kinds of flight and developing flight over that 100-year period. Ties back a little bit to your role in the whole process of flight, not just the military.
Yes, ma'am. And I think that we talked the last time I was here just about the 100 years. This is the first event celebrating the 100 years, and what a cool time to be here. But this was the first installation that was built specifically to look at air power. I mean, back 100 years ago, they knew that it was going to be important to not only to the military but to our country. And so Langley, and it's the only continuously operated base in the history of the world. So I mean,
that's amazing.
It is. And so where we came from, we used to have dirigibles on the installation, and now fast forward 100 years, and now F-22s. And so you can just think about, Pierpont Langley's Samuel Pierpont Langley, for whom we were named. His kind of innovation on flight, he couldn't even imagine that now we're looking at an F-22. I mean, it's just, it's unfathomable.
Incomprehensible, right. So. And you guys have been there. And that gives all of us a chance to go out and see some of the planes and demonstrations and the history and really enjoy and appreciate what has happened there.
Absolutely.
You'll have the opportunity to witness a demonstration of aircraft throughout that entire history for the most part. We've talked a lot about some of the more modern aircraft performances, but you'll also see T-33s, P-51s, B-25, F-4U Corsair, all the way to, in fact, our newest fighter jet, the F-35, will actually be available for viewing there as well. So really covering almost the entire history of Langley Airfield, you'll see some representative aircraft.
And that's the part, well, I mean, the cool factor also gets to adults, but, where adults and history buffs and people who appreciate the role of military history and aviation can come and learn stuff, and kids can come and say, oh, wow, it's cool how they used to paint those planes. There's all kinds of elements that people can pick up on depending on their interests.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, well, before we close, is there anything else you want to say?
No, I just, really welcome to Langley, and we are just excited to have everybody there, meet everybody, and just kind of showcase what we do, and then really just to say thank you to the community for supporting us over the 100 years. I mean, you supported us for 100 years. We expect to be here for 100 more, so who knows what it's going to be like. But this is just a great way for us to show our thanks to the community, because we couldn't possibly do it without the support of the community and our community partners.
Well, and I think it's for us to also say we appreciate, because without Langley, without the military here, we would be an entirely different community. It's the contribution to the economy, but it's also the contribution to the community and the amount of volunteerism your folks do, and how many people stay and retire here after they leave and become permanent members of the community. So it's wonderful to have you here, and I'm excited about the opportunity to go see another air show.
Yeah, we are too. And thanks again for inviting us here so we could talk about it, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody out there.
Great. Thank you. Thank you too, Colonel Norton.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. I hope you will take advantage of this opportunity. We don't know when it'll come around again. So enjoy the air show and the open house, and visit Langley Air Force Base. Thanks for watching.